All right, coming up, David Price chirping again, plus more evidence as to why Tuukka Rask will never lead the Bruins to a Stanley Cup championship. All right, so after the Red Sox cruised to a 9-1 win over the LA Angels at Fenway Park on Tuesday night, David Price once again opened his yap. And I thought what he said was interesting. Well, first, here's what he had to say.
Looking forward to Sunday night at Angel Stadium, that challenge. I don't think I'll be able to go, so I don't think so. Fortnite? Yeah, Fortnite.
Look, and I understand, whatever you need to do to motivate yourself, I'm good with. But there's a few things I don't like about this, okay? Number one, why do you have to bring negative attention to yourself in the midst of pitching very well? All this does is bring negative attention to you. I got an idea. Just pitch well. There's no need for all of this. Again, whatever you need to do to motivate yourself, fine, but it better work, because here you are getting in your own head during good times. What happens when times aren't as good? What happens the next time you face adversity? I just don't think what he does with the media is a healthy way to live as a professional athlete, especially not in Boston. And if you need to be sarcastic towards the media to perform well, more power to you. But I still think this is a symptom of his overall problem, a lack of self-confidence, a lack of self-assurance. He's the type of guy where if his wife brought up some ex-boyfriend from the past, let's just say his name was Ron, he'd be the one that would always bring up, well, I bet Ron would have remembered to unload the dishwasher. Well, I know Ron would have gotten you the right size blouse. You know, very woe is me, very I'm not good enough. That's David Price. Lacks confidence in himself, and I think that shows up. He'll have a great chance on Sunday night in New York to show up on a big stage and perform. Ultimately, it'll come down to how he performs in the playoffs. And while we're talking about David Price, let's talk about Tuukka Rask. And I should have brought this up sooner, but I just wanted to put on display more evidence as to why Tuukka Rask will never win the Bruins a Stanley Cup. We've talked on this program how Tuukka has never led the Bruins back in a playoff series when trailing in that series by anything less than 1 game to none. Well, in this year's run to a Stanley Cup championship, goalie Braden Holtby and the Washington Capitals had to overcome a 2-0 series deficit in the first round. Then in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Lightning, they had to overcome a 3-2 deficit after the Capitals were up 2-0. They lost 3 straight games. Then they won Game 6 and then won Game 7 on the road. Then in Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Finals in Vegas, Holtby made a save with the Capitals up a goal in the last 2 minutes of the game that preserved the win and avoided Washington potentially going down 2-0 in that series. I have absolutely zero confidence that Tuukka Rask would be able to do that. He would fold up the tent and the Bruins wouldn't be able to recover. That is why, again, I don't think Tuukka Rask has the mental fortitude to lead his team to that sort of accomplishment. All right, take your pick. If you were forced to do it, who would you rather listen to host a solo 1-hour talk radio show? David Price or Bill Belichick? Oh, shit. I mean, listening to Bill Belichick for an hour solo would probably make me want to bang my head against the table, but I'd probably rather do that than claw off my ears. David Price, you would spend an hour listening to what sounded like a depressed Kermit the Frog. I would not be able to stand that. Now, if there were callers involved, I think Price could be more combative with the callers, but there aren't callers involved in this scenario. It's just a 1-hour solo show. I'm going Bill Belichick. You might have to deal with a gentle snort here and there, but I think he'd be so boring, it would actually be sort of entertaining. Plus, Bill Belichick is a guy that doesn't really like the spotlight. In this situation, he'd have the spotlight on him. So seeing how he would react to that scenario and seeing if he could step up, if you will, would actually be intriguing to me. All right, my lock of the day, the Red Sox and Angels tonight from Fenway. I'm taking the under 9.5 runs scored. The Red Sox put up 9 runs on Tuesday night. I think the bats cool off a little bit. Rick Porcello on the mound for Boston. He can keep the Angels bats at bay. I'm going to take the Angels and Red Sox to combine for less than 9.5 runs. This is my lock of the day. Have a good one.
Well, as you know, I'm not on Snapface and all that, so I don't really get those.